Okay, here's some hints that should help you with the second homework sheet. The first question is about completing the square. I'm not going to do one which is actually there, I'll do one which is very, very similar. So I'm going to do x squared add 8x add 10. So remember, we need a bracket squared and then there's a number at the end. Inside the bracket goes x, because x times x makes x squared, and then we half this number to give us plus 4. Now we'll look at these numbers here at the end, this 4, and we square it, and 4 squared is 16. We then ask, how do we get back to 10? And the way we get back to 10 is by taking off 6. Okay, so you've got two examples similar to that to do. Question 2, find the equation of a straight line. Well, the first thing we need to do is we need to work out the gradient. So the gradient of AB, remember the little formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you're not too sure which is which, then write x1, y1, x2, y2 above the numbers. Put them into the formula and you'll get your gradient. Once you've got your gradient, put that number and one of the points into the formula y minus b equals mx minus a. Question 3, simultaneous equations. You need to decide which one you're getting rid of. You're either getting rid of the x's or you're getting rid of the y's. It's up to you which one you do. Most people tend to go for the middle ones. So if I was doing the middle ones, I would want to times the top row by 2 and the bottom row by 3. Okay, so if I times the top row by 2, that gives me 4x, add 6y equals 20. Do a similar thing for the bottom row, and then do a great big add up sum. That'll tell you what x is. Substituting back in, you can find out what y is. Question 4, vectors. Two vectors are given to you, u and v. You simply have to work out what 2u add 3v is. So that just means that you've got 2 of this vector here. So 2 of negative 3, 2 of 4, 2 of 1. And then you've got 3 of this vector, 3 zeros, 3 negative 2's, 3 3's. Just make 2 new vectors, add your numbers together to get your final answer. Question 5. This is the second part of these standard deviation questions. The first statement starts with on average. Okay, so you're going to go on average. Mr. Smith's class had the worst score against Mrs. May's. And then your second statement is to mention how consistent or how spread out. So the scores for Mr. Smith's class were more spread out, less spread out, more consistent, less consistent, and so on. But start your 2 sentences with those. Question 6, a 5-figure summary. So we need to take these 10 numbers and we need to write them in order. So the first one is 120, that's the smallest. Then we've got 128. Then we've got 130. And so on and so on and so on. I'll let you finish them off. So you'll end up with 1, 2, 3 numbers so far, 4, 5, and then remember come back, 6, 7, 8, 9, your 10 numbers. Once you've done that, you'll be able to find the lowest number, you'll be able to find the highest number, you'll be able to find the quartile 1, which is in the middle of the top row, quartile 3, which is in the middle of the bottom row, and the median in this case is going to be halfway between the numbers at the end. So that's your 5-figure summaries that you need to write down. The lowest, quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, and the highest. Question 7. probably one that will cause most issues. And the issue we've got with this question is the fact that this here is a fraction. And people don't like fractions. So, simply, let's get rid of the fraction. How are we going to do that? We need to multiply the fraction by 2, and we need to multiply this side by 2. If we multiply the fraction by 2, these numbers cancel each other out. So you're left with 3x minus 1. Keep the symbol in. And then you've got to do 2 times this side. So that's going to become 6x, take away 8. Now you just get all the x's over to one side. Get all the numbers over to the other side. Do a little rearranging. And you should end up with x, symbol, number. You can work out what those are. Question 8 is a Pythagoras question. What do we know from Pythagoras? Well, Pythagoras tells us that the long side squared, so this side here squared, is equal to the sum of the other two sides. So for our example that we're given here, that's going to mean that x add 6 squared is going to equal x squared add x add 3 squared. Okay, now you need to remove the brackets. Now remember, when you remove the brackets, I'm going to do this one for you. You should get x squared add 12x add 36. You're going to do the same on this side to get this part. You're going to rearrange it. Now once it's been rearranged, you're going to end up with an x squared here and some other things. That is when you then need to put them into two brackets like we've been doing in class and solve them to get x equals. One of your answers is impossible. 9, the last one. Once you've worked out the x from the previous example, you can put these numbers in. Okay, let's say x is 10. So that number there would be 10, that number there would be 13, that number there would be 16. That's not correct. I'm just saying if that was the case. Okay, so put these numbers in based on your x for the last answer. How do you work out the area of a triangle? Half base times height. So that's a half of, in my example, 13 times 10. Okay, you can work that out. But remember, these numbers that I've put here, the 10, the 13 and the 16, I just made them up. You'll get your answers for the previous question. Okay guys, hopefully that helps.